Namaste and welcome to this Monday edition of The Right Stand. Ladies and gentlemen, want to start with very disturbing visuals coming in from Narel in Bangladesh. For all those who try and talk about the safety of minorities in Bharat, have a look at what is happening in the neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. This is the sight, this is the plight of minorities in Bharat. For 2 whole days we are given to understand. Over the weekend, this instance has happened and more than 70 houses, shops, establishments have been burnt. Hindus have been left bereft of their homes. Temples have been vandalized and desecrated. These are the visuals that we have got, and they are very shocking. This has just become a norm in Bangladesh. A Hindu temple, shops, houses, all belonging to the Hindu community have been desecrated, vandalized, burnt in this Narel region in southwestern Bangladesh, and this is over a Facebook post allegedly belittling Islam. Now, locals are saying this has become a standard modus operandi. Many Hindus have been forced to flee their homes. It's the second attack at Hindus in this area in the last month itself. Over 200 Hindus were beaten up, women harassed and abused, violated, houses burnt down, men beaten, thrashed black and blue. They were even forced to flee. Now, attacks on religious minorities in Bangladesh have been on the rise, with many of them that happened after rumors or fake posts spread through social media. There are locals who are turning around and saying that this has become a norm. This has just become a habit there, and they do it deliberately. They deliberately keep the Quran or the holy book at the feet of a Hindu idol. Then they find a reason to go ahead and unleash mayhem. They'll create fake identities and fake posts would be put up. A minority which has suffered more than 3,600 attacks in less than 8 years. This is what is happening there. I have Deep Azad joining us with more details, joining us from Bangladesh. Deep, namaste, thank you. Tell us what happened here in Narel. And we have witness accounts which are saying that the cops were mute spectators. They watched on as houses burnt.
Yes, thank you. Police have arrested a Hindu youth in Narel Lohagara over a Facebook post. This is religious sentiments. This is the complaint. Okay. His name is Akash Saha. He's 20 years old. He's son of Ashok Saha. And his residence is neighborhood of Digholia Upazila. It's adjacent with Khulna district.
But why did Narel have to burn?
Ashok Saha was taken. Yes. It's his residence is Lohagara. It's very adjacent with Khulna district, which is another sub-district. Its name is Digholia. Ashok Shah is 20 years old. I already told that, and he had taken to the police custody. It's Friday. So after you told that 200, it's not 200. It's 170 houses vandalized and burned. This is the complaint. And the situation on Saturday, Narel local MP, member of the parliament, and the former Bangladesh cricket captain, legend cricketer Mashrafi bin Murtaza, visited the area and rescued the Hindu residents. And the situation now under control. But most of the netizens raised their voice to arrest over the miscreant who burned the houses, Hindu houses, and they vandalized the house. But nobody is not arrested yet.
So that's the question I'm asking, Deep. The fact is that the person who posted the post, the mischievous post, has been arrested. But with 200 Hindus displayed, I said 200 Hindus, not 200 homes, and 70 houses is the number that we put out. But what I'm asking you is, how is it that the cops have not arrested the perpetrators? We have eyewitness accounts who say that the cops were just watching. They were present, they were just watching as this vandalism, arson unleashed.
The local police station officers told us that they are working on this incident. They are just doing this distributing. But people are shouted that they should, as far as soon possible, to arrest the miscreants who have been burned the houses and vandalized the Hindu homes. This is the main point. But situation, they told us that the situation is under control because the local MP now in Norail, and he is very much connected with the local people, and he told that I'm just quoting him. I cannot imagine this is the same Norail which have taken the pride in since we are children. Is it very clear? No? She is very much shocked. The local MP with the legend cricketer about cricket team. He told
so you're saying Mashrafe Murtaza is the former Bangladesh captain and cricketer is the local MP of Norail. But the fact is, despite the local MP coming out and expressing solidarity with the people and trying to rescue them, there is not a single arrest that's been made. Deep Azad is with us. There is an eyewitness account that's just come out. It will be in Bangla. Let's just listen into what that lady had to say, and I'll go across to Radharaman Das ji also, who's joining us.
তারপরে কাছে কি তোরা না জিনিসপত্র আর টাকা পয়সা না দিলে তোকে কুপাই মারব
তাই তো সবকিছু স্বর্ণ টন্য যা আছে সব নিয়ে গেছে
হ্যাঁ আমার টাকা নেছে
So again, this lady is saying that similarly, the other instance was when some boy placed the Quran in front on the base of the idol of Hanuman, and at a temple there, and then that gave them again reason to go ahead and unleash their mayhem and attack the locals, disturb and misbehave with the girls there. Plenty of other instances. Radharaman Das ji is there with us. Namaste and Hare Krishna, Radharaman Das ji. What is happening in Norail? Now on Friday, this person who put the post has been arrested, but those people who burned down 70 houses have not yet been arrested.
Hare Krishna, Anand ji. We pray to Lord Narsingadev to protect people, Hindus there. But first I would like to point out the hypocrisy of so-called world community. So-called champions of human rights were not able to hear the helpless cries of Bangladeshi Hindus. In last 9 years, there were 3,600 riots against Hindus. Hundreds of people dead. Thousands of women, including girls, children, raped. Thousands of houses destroyed. But did anyone hear the cries of these helpless Hindus? These news were ignored by mainstream media. Thanks to social media, that now at least some people are able to hear their cries. But that is not enough. We have to call out the hypocrisy of so-called champions of human rights. Most of these organizations, including some international media houses and even UN, has been hijacked by these fake people who automatically filter out the Hindu cries and sufferings. Over the last 50 years, while the Muslim population of Bangladesh has doubled, Hindus' population has decreased by 7.5 billion. One time Bangladesh was a Hindu majority state of Bharat. Now they are less than 9%. Such is the sad state. But the most unfortunate thing is that no international organizations, governments, they hear these cries and these things keep repeating. In 2016, they had actually beheaded 2 of our devotees. Then last year, when they killed 2 of our devotees, then we protested. Only after we protested, United Nations, they sent delegation and all that. But again, the same thing is repeating. And this is not that since last year and since this incident, it has happened many hundred riots has again taken place. They are not attacking ISKCON because now they are fearing international approach. But what they do, like in small villages, they go and do things like this. Last riot which happened, that also their own person has put Quran at the feet of Hanumanji. And then when everybody came to know about that, everybody became silent. those people even in India, they were demanding कि जो भी हमारे बेअदबी करेगा उसका हम लोग सर उड़ा देंगे. But when they found out that their own person has done it, nobody spoke anything about that person.
But
And
in
again,
this, who are
again,
these they?
this thing
Who are these they, Radharamanji? Who are these they? Is this an organized group? Who are these they? Do they have political backing? Who are these they who are going ahead and doing in such a way? And I heard one of the eyewitness accounts when we were looking at the story, who says that the cops were watching on.
Actually, what I heard, there are Muslim groups. Actually, these are madrasa people. In madrasa, they are teaching that kafirs are not fit to live. Either you have to convert. This is happening everywhere. Actually, we shy away from naming this. But madrasa has to be blamed. Even in India, if you go to any madrasa and ask their children what they are teaching, they will tell Hindus are kafir, they are not fit people, don't make friendship with that. So from childhood, they are putting all this nonsense into their minds, and then these people, they grow, they think that if we kill a Hindu, if I kill a kafir, then that is my ticket to entering, Jannat. Then I will enter Jannat. In our religion, we are taught that if we chant Hare Krishna and if we do good to others, then we get higher destinations.
No, that's a difference as far as faith. But the fact is, how is the law and order? The job of the state is to protect every person. How is it that in eyewitness accounts it is coming out and saying that the cops were watching, cops were present and they were just watching as this was going on?
Yeah, that is most unfortunate. Actually, when cops came, they arrested that Hindu young boy on whose name they had created fake account. So they arrested. So the Hindus people, they were afraid that maybe again they will come and attack. Then police assured them, don't worry, we will guard this village, so you stay here. So they stayed, and at night 9 p.m. when these people again came and started burning these houses, police were there, but they looked other way. So that is most unfortunate. And these people come in groups, like large groups. So
it's a mob.
These people should not be dealt with, children, we have to take a hard step.
Well, let's hope.
To use force to stop them.
Let's hope that those who are supposed to take cognizance and act upon it do act. Radharamanji, thanks for speaking out and thanks for speaking with us here at CNN News 18 as we put out yet another story of how minorities are being treated in the neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. This came from Bangladesh. Now shifting focus and closer home and to what is happening in Bihar. This is a big exclusive CNN News 18 news break on PFI's Bihar plot. And this entire conspiracy has been decoded, ladies and gentlemen. There are two terror modules that have been busted in Bihar. Now, in these two terror modules, we'll focus on the ones where there are 3 individuals, one a former sub-inspector in police, one an old-timer from SIMI, and a third who has been actively involved along with them in the with PFI and the SDPI. Now, I must say once again that the PFI and the SDPI officially have come out and said that we've got nothing to do with these people. This is a witch hunt that is happening. But what's been unearthed from them is startling, ladies and gentlemen. Nearly 90 lakh rupees has been spent, and from their accounts about 83 lakh rupees have been found from these people. They are with active members of the PFI, and from them the cops have found literature which has plans to turn India into an Islamic state by 2047. This is what they are planning, and their plot is very, very devious. More importantly, they have been spending money in weapons training, in pushing out very, very strong radical literature which is against the very bone of an inclusive Sarva Dharma Samabhav ethos of Bharat. Who are these people and what are they doing? Let's try and decode this entire plot quickly before we go across to our guest this evening. This is the Bihar plot that is now stands decoded. Alright, stand exclusive here, and this is what? It is masterminded by 3 members who have links to PFI and SIMI. 90 lakh rupees have been spent on terror operations and their operations of radicalizing and recruitment so far. Nearly 83 lakh rupees still in their account, and as per their own admission, and this is what Saurabh My colleague who's been tracking the story says that nearly 40 lakh rupees has come from Pakistan and 30 lakh has come from Turkey. Another 13 odd has come from Bangladesh. What's the focus? The interior areas. Target Mithilanchal. That's what they're saying. Go into the hinterland and target those areas. Recruit, radicalize there. Seemanchal is the next target. And then use masjids to spread the message of hate and what the agenda is. What happened? An imam was brought from Kerala and Karnataka, brought in. These people bring in, again spew their radical vitriol and venom, try to brainwash. They brought in from Tamil Nadu also. Spread the ideology into the villages. Stir sentiment using Nupur Sharma and other cases. So get into Darbhanga, Motihari and such kind of areas and use this kind of thing and spin the narrative. Local imams asked to stoke anger during the Jummah sermons, saying use the Friday extra namaz time and post that, use it as your speeches and make these sermons. And this is right there at the grassroots. So there is no focus or limelight that comes there, but from ground up this entire process of radicalizing and recruitment begins. And organizations like Imam Conference, Campus Front, lawyers' bodies, they have all been roped in. What's the second focus? The second focus is recruit youth between 16 to 21. Those who are vulnerable, impressionable and can be quickly molded, brainwashed. Train the youngsters in martial arts, use of swords, etc. So that's the beginning. Trying to tell them that you've got to be strong, robust to take on the RSS goons and learn to fight so that you know how to fight. But then that's the first process. The moment you hand the weapon, from there you're also weaponizing their brain. Contract these youth to train their village folk. So this idea is not of self-defense, but this is of offense. That's the intent. This is where the CNN News 18 exclude. Now look at, and then this is the second module. The second module is what? Spread radical Islam. This is, as sources have told CNN News 18, there is a deliberate subversion plot that is there in the works. And this plot is a string of WhatsApp chats on group Ghazwa-e-Hind have been recovered. And what stands out, now this is the other guy, Tariq or Maghroob is his name. He's claimed to be a lone wolf, but part of groups which have presence of Pakistani, Bangladeshi and of course nationals from Yemeni. And numbers, these numbers of those who are there in this group, they appear on terror recruiters and handlers on the lookout for radicalized Indians. These numbers are popping up in other cases of the NIA also. Then some numbers have appeared in the past as far as anti-terror probes, like I was telling you. Now tell us, ladies and gentlemen, how should we look at this story? How serious is the charge? This guy, who's the Ghazwa-e-Hind operative, his name is Danish or Tahir, arrested in close touch with Pakistani handlers, had connections in Tehreek-e-Labbaik. Sources say he appears to be Ghazwa-e-Hind lone wolf. But how can they be lone wolves? Because he's already being brainwashed and he's in touch with those who are in touch with others. So it looks like lone wolves, but it is a huge group of Trojans or radicals that's been set up here. So we get into the Bihar terror plot, two separate terror modules, but we focus on this old SIMI hand and new PFI connection that is emerging. And what is the real intent? Joining us, Guru Prakash Paswan, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Sushant Sareem, Senior Fellow ORF, and also Tasleem Ahmed Rahmani, President, Muslim Personal Council of India. Guru Prakash Paswan, Patna, right in the heart of it. Two modules. One with an established organization, the other with somebody who's so radicalized that even those his handlers were afraid to give him anything in his hand so far beyond literature. That's what we are given to understand.
No, Anandji, we are closely following the developments in this regard. But let me put one thing clearly on record, that since 3-4 decades, our leadership, we have been speaking against radical Islam. But the point is different. The point is that in the name of minority appeasement, the Congress party, decades, they have given institutional support to this menace called radical Islam. No one was willing to call a spade a spade. Only in the last 8 years, whatever has come to our notice, let me put this on record again, that in the last 8 years, if you set aside Kashmir, there has been not a single unfortunate terror incident across the country. Security is our topmost priority. We will ensure that whoever is found culprit, whichever actors, non-state actors, whoever are involved, we will ensure that the strictest punishment is going to be taken against all those institutions, all those organizers. SIMI was banned on our behest. We are in the process of collecting evidences. Similarly, we are going to ban PFI as well. There is not going to be any delay in that. Our teams, NIA is in Patna, RAW team is also in Patna. We are collecting evidences. You would soon see it happening. There are many accusations on us that why are we not banning the PFI? We believe in rule of law. Constitutionally, by getting all the evidences within the framework of the Constitution, we are going to ban this terror organization, which is
you banned SIMI.
Dangerous
the
for
point
society.
is, Guru Prakash Paswan, let's say the government of the day and government of India banned SIMI, be it because of the pressure of the opposition or the ruling disposition also felt this threat. But SIMI became Indian Mujahideen. Indian Mujahideen turned into PFI. Some of the founding members of the PFI are all former SIMI members. This person, one of the key accused in this case right now itself, Athar, is an old SIMI hand. He was in touch with old SIMI workers. They are now working with the new radical who are recruits as part of PFI and SDPI. That's what the cops are saying the allegation is, and this is what the proof, the whole trail is showing. So what have you been able to stop? You'll ban SIMI today, tomorrow you'll ban PFI, they'll emerge as somebody else. How are you going to stop the radicals? How are you going to stop this brazen open access that radicals sitting over in power, on enemy territory have got to people in India? How are you going to stop from 83 lakh rupees coming into their accounts?
Anandji, that is a very important question. But like I said, in the last 8 years, not a single terror incident has happened in the country if you set aside Kashmir. So security is our topmost priority. But we need to understand this. For decades in this country, sir, please let me complete. For decades in this country, Anandji, political patronage was given to radical Islam institutions.
Do you realize?
Why are we forgetting that?
Do you realize, Guru
Why are we
Prakash?
forgetting?
Do you realize, Guru Prakash Paswan, that the dimensions and dynamics of terror have changed in our country? When two people go ahead and behead an individual, that is also an act of terror, sir. When there are multiple groups who decide to go ahead and attack Hindu processions and want to trigger mass riots across various parts of the country, that is also terrorism. When they are using social media to radicalize and to recruit youngsters, that is also terrorism. Please understand, in Rajasthan, the cops are saying there were as many as 6 districts, 40 people had been identified. Please, the whole effort in Amravati was also to behead the chemist.
Anandji, please understand that we share your concern. We empathize with the cause. And that is the reason that we need to act responsibly. We need to act responsibly, but we also need to understand that there are active Breaking India forces. There are Breaking India forces within the country. There are Breaking India forces. There are Breaking India forces outside the country.
Guru Prakash Paswan, they always existed. That is why 2008 happened. That is why 2001 happened. That is why 2007 happened. And that is why 2022 also happened. See, their dimensions have changed, and what they are doing, their modus has changed. So our conventional definitions of terror have also got to change, sir.
Like I said, Anandji, it is our topmost priority. And after 2014, there is no political patronage. There is no institutional patronage. It was Salman Khurshid who said about Sonia Gandhi ki Sonia Gandhi ki aankhon mein aansu aaye the. We need to ask questions to them as well. It was former Vice President of India, Hamid Ansari, who was sharing stage with a person who was a spy. Then why are we not raising questions on that? But in the last 8 years, the government is trying its level best, Anandji. The government is trying, government has evolved.
Sir, what Mr. Hamid Ansari did, you can question it politically. We can have a political debate about it. What the government of the day is doing today is what is going to change and affect your and my life going forward. What the government of the day in each state is doing is a question I have to ask along with the central agencies. How are you going to stop this is my question. How are you going to realize that who are these 180 people who are part of this group and how many of them are Indian nationals and how many such groups exist pan-India? Sushant Sareen.
Anand, have you heard of a group called the Hindustani Fanatics? This was a bunch of people almost 200 years back in precisely the area you're talking about, Patna, Bihar, this area. These were people who were radicalized at that point of time. You would have heard of this clown called Syed Ahmed Barelvi, who was killed by Ranjit Singh's forces. I'm talking about that movement. The Brits were in command of India, were ruling India. Please look at how they unraveled that entire conspiracy, that entire movement. They broke it up like it's nobody's business. What is our response? It's a mealy-mouthed response. Some local cop will go, we will arrest those two guys who did the beheading in Udaipur. We will go. The law will take its own course. The law will move at a glacial pace. The law will never reach the course which it is supposed to follow. If it does, it will be after 10 years, 15 years. What we need is really swift and sharp retribution and justice. What we have is a mealy-mouthed response. Mr. Paswan might be right that, we have been focusing on security and others. But what you have to really focus on is how do you create a massive deterrence against these kind of people, number one. How do you inflict grave punishment on people who indulge in this kind of activity, number two. And how do you create a counter narrative, number three. And on those fronts, we seem to be faltering. We seem to be lagging behind. Anand, allow me just a comment on your earlier story on Bangladesh.
Yeah.
You look at the response of the government of India. Have you heard anything from the government of India that the government of India has taken up this matter with the Bangladeshi authorities? But when something happens in India on the CAA, for example, the so-called liberals in India, the so-called secular, or who I call the false secularists, the false secularists in India, the so-called, people who are protectors of human rights, all these bleeding hearts come out and tell us that, look, because of CAA and NRC, our relations with Bangladesh will get spoiled. How is it that when there is a pogrom against Hindus in Bangladesh, there is nobody who raises a voice that Bangladesh's relations with India will get spoiled? Yes, Bangladesh is a very important country, but is India not an important country for Bangladesh? So I think, the basic responses, the basic missing
the city, for example. And I think we need to wake up to this fact. We stand on ceremony that no, but law and order is a state subject. What can we do in Rajasthan?
When you were
Congress government in the center, they were making you do many things which you might not have wanted to do.
Correct.
The power of the central government of the center cannot be underestimated. If it wants to really do something, and if it wants to be seen to be doing something, you mean to tell me that a state government can actually defy the central government? It can. Provide if you are going to be so withdrawn, so diffident, then yes, it can. It can run circles around you.
Correct.
But if you are going to be combative enough, then the state government will not be able to do anything. I suspect what happens very often is that, the ruling party sometimes gets the impression that, okay, let these guys go soft on these terrorists because the electoral and the political advantage of that will come to us. Now, if that is a cynical calculation, and I'm not saying it is, I am just speculating on this, but if you are making those kind of cynical calculations, then you are putting the security of the land in jeopardy.
No, absolutely. And if that is the political calculation, sir, it cannot. This kind of political calculation cannot happen at the cost of India. It cannot happen.
Exactly.
So I'm going to ask before I bring.
Somewhere along the line, when I don't see an adequate response, it makes me wonder whether there is this kind of a cynical calculation.
Let Guru Prakash Paswan respond to this. Because this is a matter of serious concern. This is a matter of serious concern. And then I'll bring in Mr. Rahmani. Yes, Guru Prakash Paswan.
No, see, I was patiently listening to Sushant Sarith ji, and he rightly pointed out that security often has been compromised by the political class for the sake of votes. But that was the situation before 2014. Like you pointed out, in 2008, the attacks in Mumbai happened. Before that, the Batla House encounter. We need to take into account those errors as well. But in the last 8 years, there is a paradigm shift, Anna. There is a total transformation with respect to security apparatus for our country. We saw the transformational surgical strikes happening. We saw the Balakot happening. Was this possible before 2014? No, because there was a sense of minority appeasement. There was a sense of Tushtikaran. They always wanted to play their politics. But after 2014, that has not been our priority. Our priority is security, safety, and sovereignty of the country. And no compromise will ever happen on that. Prime Minister himself is very cognizant. There is an entire department. There is NSA Ajit Dovalji who is constantly monitoring all the situation. Whatever whatever has happened in Patna, it is definitely a cause of concern. It is definitely a cause of concern, and we will continue to fight against.
They have trained 15,000 people. There are such branches and such outfits operating in multiple places. One module busted, the rest goes underground or goes into hibernation for a certain period of time. Any organization has the right to train people, has the right to educate people, has the right to make people socially conscious and socially uplift them. Nobody can deny that. But if there is an agenda of an outfit, Rahmani Saab, which says we'll change the nature of this country in the next 25 years, then it's a matter of serious concern.
Yes, Anand, I agree with you. And terrorism and radicalization, both are a very serious threat to the country. We cannot be allowed to politicize this condition. As far as I am listening very patiently with Mr. Guru Prasad Paswan ji, all his exertions are politically affected. I am not calling them motivated, but politically affected. We cannot do politics on this kind of situations. If there are organizations who are radicalized and want to unleash war on the country, how much time will we take to collect the evidences and documents against them? You are there in power for last 8 years, and almost every second month we listen that this certain organization is doing this there and doing this there. They are imparting this arms training. They have this agenda. They have this agenda. Even the Jharkhand government has banned PFI on a very flimsy kind of the documentation, which if you are talking about the evidences within 6 months, the High Court of the Jharkhand has quashed that ban. Again, they have been banned on the same thing. The UP government has recommended with all the documents to the central government to ban this organization. The Karnataka government has give the similar kind of documents to the central government. Then why? Why no action? Why there is no busting of such an organization? And is it this single organization? I remember in 2001 when the BJP, that NDA government has banned SIMI. There were 46 such organizations who were banned. Now, only if you are talking only one organization, that doesn't mean that you are unearthing the total radicalization web.
But did radicalization stop when the organizations were banned? Mr. Rahmani, point is the same SIMI members are now part of PFI. Same SIMI members are now part of PFI, including this man who's arrested, Atar.
The earlier.
So what changes? So organization
Earlier
ban
it was
करने से तो नहीं हो रहा ना?
नहीं तो काहे से होगा?
आप बताइए.
That's why I say.
आप बताइए क्या करना चाहिए?
Not a stern hand. You see, you talk about Bangladesh. What I want to suggest, why our government for last 8 years, how many times we have called the envoy of Bangladesh, the High Commissioner of Bangladesh, and handed over a demarche to them? How many times? How many times we use our cloud to the international community to make a pressure to call to the Bangladesh government to stop all these things? How many times our organization, as a country organization, has gone to the Bangladesh High Commissioner and registered a protest? How many times? Never. Then what is our political will about the Bangladesh? I mean, we are well within our right, according to the Nehru Charter,
good that you are asking about what India is doing vis-a-vis Bangladesh. Why don't we ask how many times our own internal organizations have turned around and totally announced that these kind of outfits should be socially boycotted? That there should be no participation of any person from any community with organizations like these? How many times have these calls been made? Have you heard those calls in Bihar? You go to Bihar and Jharkhand, sir, you please tell me. How many times has the community and how many times have people locally come out and said reject this a lot? Kick them out. How is it that they are present in 23 states in our country if they are a radical outfit? If they are up to no good. Final word, Guru Prakash Paswan, have to wind up.
No, I was patiently listening to Mr. Rahmani. Mr. Rahmani, please take a pen and paper and note it down. There has been no major terror attack since 2014, point number 1. Point number 2, internal security. It was Prime Minister Manmohan Singh who said, I did not speak when you were speaking. I did not speak when you were speaking. Please have the patience. Please have the patience. I did not speak when you were speaking, Rahmani ji.
If you will give the wrong numbers,
Anand ji, this is not the way to debate. Anand ji, this is not the way to debate.
You cannot go away by just giving the political propaganda.
अरे क्या तरीका है बोलने का? आप
just by
political
propaganda. I'm asking you what had happened yesterday.
This is not the right point. This is not the right point. Anand ji, what is this?
White paper, how many people?
Anand ji, I'm not going to debate like this. Anand ji, I'm not going to debate like this. This man.
How can you
1 minute.
Run away with such kind of...
One minute.
How many of our Jawan has been killed since last 8 years?
Rahmani ji, आपको बहुत
No, that is exactly what Guru Prakash... No, you heard him. He said outside of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir, he said across the rest of India, he was very clear when he qualified it. He said that very clearly, so you must not counter him on a charge where he has already clarified what he was talking about. When he says pan-India, across India, he had qualified saying he's not including Jammu and Kashmir and the incidents thereof. He's saying outside of Jammu and Kashmir. He said that very clearly, right at the top. Now, gentlemen, I'll give you another 20 seconds to complete.
I have included Jammu and Kashmir.
Yeah, you have included, but he has excluded Jammu and Kashmir, and the situation in Jammu and Kashmir obviously has changed and evolved after 2019 abrogation of Article 370. Sir, that is also a bigger. But we are digressing again. We are digressing. We are digressing, sir. It's not about politicizing. It's about a simple aspect, sir. There are people. I have to wind up. I have run out of time. We have wasted a lot of time. I have run out of time. I've got the next debate coming up. I just want to wind up on this aspect. There are people who want to change the very nature of our country. They want to change the way we are. Because we are the only nation who are like we are. Who believe in Sarva Dharma Sambhav. Ekam Satya Bahuda Vipra Vidanti. That means there is only one truth. There are different ways to approach it. Go ahead and see which other grouping, collective, as a nation, follows this principle like we do here in Bharat. And if there are those within who want to change the nature of this, what should we do as a people? What should we do as a polity? What should we do as the police? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. I thank all our guests in debate number 1. Moving on to debate number 2 as we set up, ladies and gentlemen, what's brewing in the United Kingdom. Indian origin, Rishi Sunak has got his nose ahead. Just thereof, there's an important round of voting that's coming up. First Indian origin, right at the head. It's the race for 10 Downing Street. Round 1 of voting. Let's try and understand what's happened so far. Round 1 of voting. He secured 88 votes on the 13th of July. Ranked first. Round 2 of voting. Secured 101 votes. Again ranked first. Round 3 of voting. Rishi Sunak among the 5 candidates in the fray. Round 4, July 19th, that's today. And round tomorrow, that's round 5, is on the 20th of July. Round 6 will be held on the 21st of July. That will decide the final 2. The final decision will be taken on the 5th of September as to who will be the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Rishi Sunak right now is one of the front runners, ladies and gentlemen. He leads the race, and what works for him and what works against him, let's quickly call that out. What works for him? Seen as best equipped to counter the political crisis. As the finance minister, he has brought in pace of reforms and certain projects in place which have found approval amongst policymakers and people. Partygate scandal breached the lockdown rules, and that stands against him. Praised for COVID-19 economic rescue package, but wife Akshata's non-domicile tax status has come under scrutiny. There were attacks on him, although it was found that everything was in order. Gained huge popularity during the pandemic, held a US green card until last year. So many are questioning whether he is truly loyal to the British cause and to the United Kingdom. These are questions that remain. Let's go ahead and ask this question. Is Rishi Sunak just ahead by a nose? Race for 10 Downing Street. Lord Rami Ranger, member of the House of Lords of the United Kingdom and also a British businessman with us, and Virendra Sharma, MP, British Indian Labour Party, also with us. Namaste, gentlemen. Thank you for your patience. And thank you for joining us here on the broadcast. So, what's brewing in the United Kingdom, Lord Rami Ranger? Is there a chance for Rishi Sunak? Will history be written?
Yes, sir. It will be, and it's a very good chance. Rishi has proved himself so far that he's the one who is the most popular among his members of parliament. He's very popular in the country also, and he has a very good track record of dealing with the economy. Anyone who can win the election will be the candidate, and Rishi has all the ingredients which are required, which is to unite the party and turn the economy around. And Rishi has got so much support because he has no baggage, and he, being of Indian origin, will have to work very hard to prove himself. He's a very humble person, and he's very approachable. All his quality, he's not, someone, a stranger to running economy. So therefore, Rishi has all the advantages which the other candidates do not have. And on top of that, Conservative Party wants to make a history that they were the first to elect a woman Prime Minister. Now they will be first to elect an ethnic Prime Minister like they did with Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher. And on top of that, Rishi will be an ideal candidate to bring more voters across the other party to the Conservative Party when people of different faiths and different colors and ethnic background, they see that in the Conservative Party, it doesn't matter where you come from, what matters where you're going. Rishi will be the one who will bring scores of new voters to the Tory party, and it will be a very good signal across the nation that the Conservative Party is truly inclusive party. There is no bar. You can reach to the top of the ladder as Rishi has done.
Let me ask.
And Rishi has got a great appeal with the youth because he's a very young person and with his fresh ideas. And,
yes, he seems to have a plan. He seems to be one of the first who has a plan, who had a plan, Lord Rami Ranger, and he also was one of the first to announce that he was going to throw his hat into the ring. But Virendra Sharma ji, do you think Britain is ready to look beyond colour and pick up somebody with an ethnic origin? And does Rishi Sunak have the ability?
Yes. One thing which I must say, because I have my own views, it's an internal matter for the Conservative Party to decide who they want. But I take this view that Rishi Sunak is not chosen as an Indian. He is chosen as a British parliamentarian who is conservative, and amongst the conservatives, he's on the top at this stage. So I think that I will not go on to say that he is chosen because he's an Indian. He's an intelligent, considered in the conservatives, and he is getting the support from the parliamentarian colleagues in his party. And I feel that he, as a chancellor, has done what the Conservative Party expected him to do, and he delivered on the Conservative Party's point of view. Me, as a member of parliament from the other party, will be questioning if he is elected as a next prime minister or the leader of the Conservative Party, then prime minister. I would say that we will be definitely not passing that buck to say because he is of Indian origin, we will not be questioning. It's important that we have this democratic system in Britain where if you are hardworking, you are dedicated, you are committed to your task, you are committed to the party, you are committed to the nation, you have every opportunity to go in this democratic setup.
Now, it will be a huge statement that will be made, but there are those within the Tories itself who are his detractors. Why is it that after the first 2 rounds, he seems to be slipping, Lord Ranger?
I don't think he's slipping because, it's a politics. People do switch votes here and there, but end of the day, as Mr. Virendra Sharma said, he is getting selected on merit. His being Indian is an advantage to Great Britain because very soon we will have a free trade agreement between the two big economies, number 4, number 5th, and 2 great democracies. We'll have a free trade agreement. We share each other's values, and Rishi will be able to get more out of this free trade agreement. Him being of Indian origin is an asset and not anything different because those days are gone when we were newly arrived in this country. We were struggling. We are no longer a struggling community. We are established ourselves. We are industrialists. The richest man in the United Kingdom is Hinduja family, and we have huge investment in this country. India is the second largest investor. So being of Indian origin now, because Indians have proved themselves, they're running all the blue chip company in the world, their ability is not now questionable because they have proved that they integrate, they are very loyal to the country where they go and settle, and they put the interest of their country, adopted country, above else. And that's why Rishi has been selected, and Rishi will go all the way, and you will see in September 5th, a Prime Minister of Indian origin, and this country will show once again that this is the greatest democracy where there is no bar for people to reach to the top level.
Right. Let's hope. See, here we are.
Positive.
I have 2 gentlemen of Indian origin who live in the United Kingdom, who ply their wares there. I'm an Indian citizen, and we're talking about another 4th person who has Indian roots. Although he's born a UK citizen, he's born and brought up there, and he would be putting his country first, and that's how he should be. But Virendra Sharmaji, it's not from India's point of view. I am asking from the British point of view. Is Britain ready to make that choice? Is Britain ready to move beyond ethnicity and colour? Because that's the bigger question. Or will there be those who will say, how we cannot allow this to happen, and that's why will he then stumble right as he gets close?
No. Those now the 3 days are the crucial times. We are also talking about the politics. It's not the ethnicity at this stage now. Ethnicity stage has passed. We had 4 candidates for the leadership from the black and minority communities. I feel that Britain has passed that stage when the color was the hindrance rather than the credit. Now it is part and parcel of the British society. British people generally have accepted us as dedicated workers, committed to the nation, committed to the country, and that trust is there. That's why Rishi Sunak is there. People like myself from the other political parties, we are there. That's why the responsible positions, they get on merit. As I make it absolutely clear, we are not chosen because we are of Indian heritage or we are from the West Indies or we are African countries. We have proved ourselves in this country by our hard work, with our dedication, with our commitment to the country.
Very well said, sir. I am,
and I'm quite confident.
With due respect, I have just got 60 seconds, so I'm just going to ask Lord Rami Ranger, what do you think is the one or two things that could prove a stumbling block for Rishi Sunak?
I doubt very much that, because people have to make a choice that if this is the right candidate for the country, because it is, they're not running a family, they're running a government. And therefore, it is very, very important they will select a candidate who can fight the election, who can defeat the Labour leader in discussion. And as you can see from the debate, Rishi is warmed up. He is very upbeat about everything from his track record. So I think Rishi is the right candidate to take on the opposition. And therefore, I think there is no way Rishi is now stoppable.
Right. Lord Rami Ranger and Virendra Sharma ji. All the best to Rishi Sunak, and I think we'll be watching it very, very closely and also will be part of our comprehensive coverage here at CNN News 18. Thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to take a very short break. Stay with us. The Real Report on the other side.